Hey y'all, I am Lucid Faith and back again, this time with dungeon tips for Final Fantasy XIV. So let's jump in, shall we? Okay, jumping right in. The first role I want to talk about is Tank. Now, Tank is a role that I've always been scared of trying because I felt like it was the leader of the group. And after playing it a bit, I have a couple level 30s, so I've done a handful, 10-20 dungeons, low level content with tanks, and here's some of my thoughts on it. So the biggest thing is talk to your group. When you're first starting out, tell your group, hey, I'm new to tanking. And talk to your healer, especially about if they want to do big pulls or small pulls. So what I mean by that is the amount of monsters you grab as the tank at one time. So if your healer's confident in being able to heal you, or if you have a lot of AoE damage on your team, you can probably do a big pull and be safe. Otherwise, you should go a little bit slower and do small pulls. But the key to this tip is communicate with your team. Now, there are a couple things that you can do just to make your team's life better. And the biggest one is how you position the enemies, right? As you approach an enemy group, you should aggro all of them and then immediately move through the group. Doing this will turn all of the enemies hopefully away from your party. So if any of your current monsters you're fighting have any kind of cleave attacks or AoEs that they put out in a cone in front of them, like many do, all those will be automatically towards you and not towards your party, keeping them safe. Now, I will link a couple really cool 101 posts down in the description about tanking. They're actually kind of awesome. Check them out if you want more in-depth mechanic tips to a tank. Next up, let's talk about healers and tips for those in dungeons. And this is the role that I've had the most experience over. This is kind of like my main class. It's what I've really been pushing through the main story. I beat Realm Reborn and all the trials, everything like that with it. So what I've realized is, one, healer DPS is actually very important. And to build on that is the ABCs of being a healer, and that's always be casting. So especially end game raids, bosses, that kind of stuff is actually tuned to have the healer DPS as much as possible. Now in the lower level content that I've done, it just speeds everything up. But here's an important thing to remember. If you're the healer, you want to do damage because the more damage you do, the shorter the lifespan of your enemies. And if they're not alive, they can't do damage, right? So you are shortening the fight, therefore lowering the amount of damage that you have to heal. So if your team's topped up, if you're comfortable with your tank not at 100%, you can just go, oh hey, I can heal 25% of his health in one spell. I'll let him get to maybe 30% health, then throw a spell at him to heal him up. During that time, be casting spells, be casting your DPS, spamming your abilities, and to keep up that MP, spam Lucid Dream on cooldown. If you're in combat, use your Lucid Dream. It only has like a minute cooldown on it, so it'll come back up, and that'll just help you keep your MP up so that you can always be casting. Now, last but not least is the DPS role. Now, general tips for your DPS role, which I've seen actually a lot of people not realize, is you need to read your skills. Yeah, so reading your skills is really important as a DPS because a lot of especially melee classes have what's called positionals, which mean you would need to be hitting a certain part of your enemy, either the front, the flanks, or from the rear. So make sure that you're actually reading your skills and positioning yourself correctly. Hopefully your tank is positioning your enemies in a way that easily lets you get to all these positions that you need to, and they're not running around too much, right? They're doing that, awesome, you can hit your positions. Now the other big thing for DPS, especially in dungeons, is the mechanics of boss fights. So often there are going to be something you need to interact with. There's going to be a lamp you need to turn off. There's going to be a generator that you need to activate a shield for your group. DPS, I feel like, need to be almost more aware of their surroundings. So 1, they're doing damage, 2, they're avoiding AoEs, and 3, they're doing the mechanics to keep your party alive. The reason you want to do this as a DPS is because, well, your tank is trying to hold boss aggro and hold him in position. If he's running around, then the boss is running around, and that's just bad for everybody. Sure, your healer can help out with this, but the healer's, 1, trying to do damage, and 2, trying to keep everyone alive. So really, this responsibility comes down to the DPS to try to do these mechanics a bit more than the other roles. It's a juggling act. All of it is a juggling act. But if you do that, you'll be a great asset to your team. All right, y'all. Those were my dungeon tips for new players in Final Fantasy XIV. Again, I'm Lucid. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, leave a comment down below. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. And if you want to talk more about this or anything else video game related or otherwise, I do stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday starting at 6 o'clock Central. Hope to see you there. And y'all, last but not least, always remember that you matter. I'll see y'all next time.